Hi, and welcome to Sunshine Startups Live. I'm your host, Jim Ryan, investor, entrepreneur, and startup enthusiast, live from Emerge in Miami, the conference, John, for all startups, companies looking for investors, some advice, and I'm so excited to be with you again, my friend.
I'm good. I'm glad to be with you, my friend. So the reason I gurred for a second was because I'm exhausted, and we're only like 6 hours in to Emerge. It's been a tough 2 days getting everything together logistically. Happy to bring our podcast on the show on the road out of our studio. Studio. I'm having trouble speaking today. I don't know what's going
Good.
on.
Well, that's because you've
I,
been on stage several
I,
times
I
already.
I've been moderating a couple of times. I've had shook more than 150 hands, partnership discussions going on, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'm really excited about being here. It's amazing, and what brings it back to home and why we're here is exactly um, what's about to happen next with our guests that we have here, and to provide some exposure and learn more about entrepreneurs here, particularly here in South Florida, and how we can help them and get them some exposure so they're successful.
Yeah, and we talked about doing sort of like these 10-minute vignettes to really expose some really wonderful startups that are exhibiting here and looking for the grand prize at Emerge. And there's also to simply connect, network, as you mentioned, John, about potential partnerships and what have you. Really excited to have Cleopatra Baudry from My Native Tongue, and we're already best friends, and so I'm going to call her. And although I love Cleopatra, and who wouldn't, but since now we're best friends, I'm going to refer to her as Cleo. And
Wait,
so,
wait. So what hometown? Because it depends on who he talks to about what his hometown. What native hometown?
no, she's a hometown girl
I am a
because she
hometown
is
girl.
from Plantation, Florida. And so, Cleo, thanks so much for being on the podcast
Thank you so much for
today.
having me. This is very exciting.
So, as John was sort of growing and being a little tongue
I'm
twisted,
sorry.
it does tie in, John, to her company perhaps, because her company is called My Native Tongue, and we're going to find out about My Native Tongue. So, share with our audience and those that are listening today about My Native Tongue.
Sure. So, My Native Tongue is a mobile game app. It's offered in 13 different languages. The objective is to enhance and play in your own native tongue and connecting you more to your culture. So, it came about. I'm a Haitian American, first generation, and I have two small children. And we noticed that there is a disconnect happening. As you know, it's great that we're here in America learning the education, but the further away you get from your language, sorry, the further you get away from your language is the further you get away from your culture. So, yeah.
So I will talk about it on the podcast, but I think there's a company that I need to introduce you to, a new Gen AI startup that is dealing with similar things about culture, values, linguistics. There's 7,000 languages in the world, and we only commonly speak, maybe, I think it's 7 to 10, depending on who you talk to. So you're addressing a very interesting challenge with a strategic solution. How long have you been in business? And I have a second follow-up question to that.
Okay. So 2020 is when we officially put pen to paper and started building out the app. I'm one of six co-founders. So the idea was very organic the way it came about. None of us had any tech background at all. We were in Haiti for one of our co-founders' weddings, and we were sitting around the pool and we said, "Man, I wish we could play a game in our native language so everyone could be included." Couldn't find anything to play in Creole. And so we started taking index cards and scribbling words that we were all familiar with in our country. So like words like chaudière or words like légumes or griot. These are our our dishes and meals. And so we would hold up the note card and the person would have to give clues without saying the word to get us there. And then it was so fun and exciting because you started drawing back on, remember when we were a kid and my mom said you had to eat all of this or else you're not going to be able to play outside? Oh, légumes, which is vegetables also. So it became really fun. Came back home to the States and it was like, man, that was a really fun experience. Like, we should really do something with this. Um, Then we started making some phone calls, contacts. We had to find an app developer, wireframing. We started learning about the tech world, which none of us had a background in. And we were building the boat and rowing it at the same time. And it was challenging, but super fun.
I don't even have to ask the second part of the question because you already answered it. But I was going to ask about the technology and did you have background in tech experience? But you already answered it. So I'll pass it over to
Oh,
Jim.
Yeah, and I love sort of the look. This seemed to be like a common problem,
yes.
and why wasn't there a solution already in place? And I love that concept where entrepreneurs go have this epiphany, and you got together with a group of friends, your family, and
Yes.
said, "Hey, how do we put something together?" So at the stage of this business today, where are you in its development? And then, in addition to that, who are your end customers? Yeah, are you trying to sort of crowdsource people to use the platform, or are you looking for businesses to buy the products? So, kind of talk about that a bit.
I think right now, our core base audience are families and friends and gatherings, the same way that you would use uh, any other, like Monopoly. Think about game nights that you would do with family and friends. That's currently the model that we're using. I would say it's family friendly, so multi generational. I experienced it right now seeing my children play with my mother. So, watching those two different generations, and instead of our technology, which is dividing most of us, it's bringing us together. And that was a big objective for us as well. Eventually, we would love to get into the educational space, especially English as a second language, and having teachers use it as a tool in the classroom and to get away from the books and, what people look at as boring learning, and now it's fun.
Please go over it.
Yeah, but I get.
One of the questions I asked another entrepreneur that we had here on our show was about being a female founder. And I know you have other co-founders that are working with you. And a female founder sometimes has more challenges than a male founder. And I'm really curious, given the environment that we're in today,
Yeah.
post COVID, and still recovering from it, have you found it challenging to be a female founder? And what are those challenges if they've existed?
So we are 99% female founded,
I love it.
actually, right? So I'm one
Girl
of
power.
six. Girl power all the way. And yeah, there are always challenges, and also being black female,
Right.
co-founders, like that's also unheard of. But I think the world is welcoming right now. We're doing this at such a right time without knowing that it was going to be, which is how it works out. When the universe conspires to help you, everything aligns. And I think it's actually more motivational than not right now. I know it's a male-dominated space, but a lot of people are no longer gatekeeping, which we appreciate, and we've been offered so much help. So it's a very positive experience as a female co-founder.
I'm glad to hear that, particularly here in South Florida.
Yes, especially.
Yeah, and so I love the breaking glass and multidimensional there. So which is awesome. What are you looking to accomplish out of Emerge? Are you looking for partners, networking? Are you looking for venture capital right now? I know obviously you're looking for the big prize
Yeah.
to be on stage, but tell us what are you looking to accomplish here?
All of the above, really. It's really learning the ecosystem right now, what other people are doing. AI is such a prominent conversation in every space. So figuring out how we can integrate that to help us. And also seeing what we can do to be different than everyone that's here right now as well. We are very interested in venture capitalists, of course, but we're looking for partners not only for monetary support, but also connections, brainstorming with us, really becoming part of the team. We appreciate people that speak multiple languages as well because they really understand the purpose behind the app. And those are that are linguists and intercultures and love traveling. That I see a different spark in people's eyes when I know that there's a connection there to the international world and bringing us all together. So we would like to be like the World Cup of games.
I love it.
So this is the World Cup of entrepreneurship, Emerge Americas, and this is my 8th out of 10 years participating. And you are in an amazing playground, and you should use it as much as you possibly can. And if there's anything that we can do to help you in support of your business journey, your founder's journey, we're here to help any way that we can. And one thing we all do is we'll promote your company through
Oh,
our own podcast here, and you use that reel any way you want. And we want to bring exposure to you so people know what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I mean, it's people like you that really help entrepreneurs because when you're home with your idea, some days you're like, this is the best thing ever. And then other days you're like, no one's going to want this. So you doing this is giving us like validation that we need to keep on going.
I'm going to say congratulations already, right? And then you're on your way. So Cleo Baudry, the company is My Native Tongue. How do customers or investors, besides being here at Emerge, how do they find you?
Well, you can look at a look of our website, mynativetongues.com. We're also on LinkedIn, My Native Tongue. And you can find us on Instagram, My Native Tongue _app. We're on all the platforms under My Native Tongue.
Cleo, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Remember to subscribe, like, and share the Sunshine Startups Live podcast and follow us on social media. If you're interested in sponsoring or appearing on the show, please email us at booking@sunshinestartups.live.